So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 18 of our season 3 here on F1 Manager 23. Now if you didn't watch the last race, go back and watch that one. Suzuka, it was a decent race, we should have done better actually. Lando Norris getting P2, that were fair enough, but Pierre Gasly did not finish, which was very, very disappointing on the day when he was on for a very, very good result. Max Verstappen, of course, winning the Grand Prix. That all means in terms of the standings, constructors-wise, Red Bull are constructors champions. We are currently in P2. We're going to have a fight to keep that P2 towards the end of this season. I'll come on to why in a moment. Drivers standings-wise, Max Verstappen is leading the way. George Russell in P2, but Lando Norris is in P3, and that would be some result if he can keep hold of that. Pierre Gasly in P7 at this moment in time. Of course, the F2 drivers there and constructors, and the F3 MP Motorsport leading. Driver standings-wise, Kyle Collett still leading the way. So there's a lot going on at this moment in time, but now I want to turn his attention to the car parts development, because we know the cost cap is something we are projected to possibly go over now. We've got to be very, very careful of this. I've even cut down the amount of engineers and scouting team that we've got. At the moment, if we go to the car part analysis, we are not now going to improve our current car for the rest of this season. So this is where we are at. We are very good in high-speed corners, and that's about it, really. That's where we're at. So there's going to be no more improvement there. In terms of the car part development and the research for next season, you can see we've got an underfloor project going on at this moment in time, but there are major technical changes on all of the car parts. So this is something we've got to be very, very aware of. Even if we're not at Andretti next season, I want to leave them in a good spot. So we are now starting to work on next year's car. If we break the cost cap, that's just something that we're going to have to do to remain competitive. This weekend, we head to a sprint weekend in Qatar, the Lusail International Circuit. 57 laps around here. Previous race results are locked for some apparent reason. The expected strategy is a two-stop from mediums onto hards, or you can even put the softs in there as well. Car attribute-wise, medium speed cornering is crucial. This may not be one of the best circuits for us, but we're certainly going to give it a go. So I'll get through practice, and I'll see you in qualifying for the Qatar Grand Prix. Here we go then, ladies and gents. Okay, last laps in Q3. To be fair, I've been pretty surprised with how good we've been so far this weekend. Both cars improving at the moment. Didn't have the best of first laps. We got through Q1 and Q2 on a single set of soft compound tyres. I would expect a decent improvement here as Lando Norris comes up to the line, goes P7, just 4 tenths away from Max Verstappen, and then here comes Pierre Gasly up towards the line. Can Pierre manage to improve here? He's green through the first and second sectors. What is Pierre Gasly going to do? He goes P4. What a lap from Pierre Gasly up to provisional P4. Bottas doesn't improve. That is some lap from the Gasman. I mean, can we really replace him next season? I'm not convinced we can. But Pierre Gasly starting P4 for tomorrow's sprint. Lando Norris down in P9. Of course, we know the two cars who should be on the front row, Verstappen and Russell. But let's see what tyres we'll be using for the sprint on Saturday. Right then, guys, sprint race time. Starting P4 for Pierre, 9 for Norris, as we know. It's very close between the two tyres, it must be said. I reckon we're going to go for the soft compound tyres purely because I'd like to keep 2 sets of mediums for the race on Sunday. We've got an embarrassment of tyres, to be fair, so we're managing the engine parts, as we know. We may have a little bit of wear towards the end of the race on one of the cars, but I'm hoping we don't. But P4, P9, let's get to the sprint.
The sprint today sees the drivers tackle 19 laps of the Lusail International Circuit.
It's a fast track here in Qatar. Expect to see the pack fight it out, trading places to improve their chances of scoring more championship points.
But just who comes out on top when the checkered flag flies? We're ready for the sprint here in Qatar. It's lights out and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we are going to be keeping an eye on the battle at the front because George Russell looks like he's got the lead going into turn 1. Pierre Gasly down the inside of Charles Leclerc. Straight away he's up into P3, still fighting with Leclerc. No, he isn't. He's in front of Charles Leclerc. Then comes Bottas, Sainz. Lando Norris has managed to get past the Ferrari. Both Andretti's getting past the Ferraris on lap 1, and looking at it, Lando Norris looks like he's fancying attack on the Audi Sport car of Mick Schumacher as well. It's been a good performance from that Audi Sport again. this weekend. They look like a team that are certainly on the rise, and a team that may possibly come knocking for a rather young, handsome, dynamic team principal. You can work out if all those three factors are through on the streams on Friday night. See a little bit of plug-in there as well. But Pierre Gasly up into P3. That is a wonderful start for the Gazman. Lando Norris in P8, Albon in P10. It's a very grainy looking night here in Qatar, which is not something I'd usually use to describe. Look at this little battle that's going on here. We've got De Vries, Zhou and Ocon and Magnussen having a right ding-dong battle here, side by side. I do like how that McLaren looks, it must be said. But I think McLaren losing Lando Norris last season was a big blow for them on this series. But he's just going to now tuck in behind Esteban Ocon. Gasly still keeping up with the Red Bulls. Yep. I think it's fair to say the Red Bulls are quicker than the Andrettis this weekend. Lap 3, the Red Bulls have drove into the distance. It's a battle between Verstappen and Russell for P1 and 2 here today. But Gasly's still sitting in P3. He's got Checo Perez behind him. I wouldn't be too upset if Perez got past him. If we share DRS between ourselves and Checo Perez, Gasly, this will secure him a decent starting position for Sunday, which is what this is all about. I do also want to mention the tyre wear on these softs is crazy. 17% gone in the space of 3 laps. That does mean we are very much going to be looking at mediums and hards tomorrow, I would suggest. But Russell is just losing touch a little bit with Verstappen, but I'd rather Leclerc and Gasly work together to pull out the gap on Bottas. Norris is frustratingly sat behind a Mercedes at this moment in time of Carlos Sainz, but doing his utmost to get past lap 3. And we are back, and we can see Lando Norris. He's now battling with Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz hasn't got the DRS. He's still struggling, Lando Norris, to get past him. And it must be said, Pierre Gasly is now back down to P4 at this moment in time. He's dropped behind Charles Leclerc, who's actually pulling away from him, which is a little bit of a concern at this moment in time. We need to ensure we stick with that Ferrari with Pierre Gasly, but Lando Norris comfortably behind Carlos Sainz. He will move forward, but we've got another 15 laps to go. Tyre wear, we're down into the 70s. You join us back on lap 7, and as you can see, Pierre Gasly losing a position to Valtteri Bottas, who had the DRS, and it must be said, we just cannot catch up to Charles Leclerc. I'm actually hoping that Valtteri Bottas is going to help us pull up to him. The tyres are just burning up here, and I reckon by playing the long game, we may actually get towards the front towards the end. We can also see Lando Norris has got past Carlos Sainz. He's very happy with that, as we've now got a yellow flag on circuit. We are looking down the left-hand side to see if there's anybody we can see in terms of dropping positions. It's Lance Stroll. Let's have a look at this. Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin, down in P17, the Aston. Oh my word. It's not the worst mistake in the world. It's track limits, of course. But seeing the Aston Martins down there, what a sad sight that is. Pierre Gasly now in P5. He's going to tag onto Bottas now. I think this will help Pierre Gasly, and Lando Norris certainly has the pace to pull up to Schumacher. He's nearly back in the DRS, lap 7. Valtteri Bottas has just come into the pits. I am not sure what the problem is. Let's have a look at this. He looks like he's pitting for another set of soft compound tyres. Valtteri Bottas, there's no damage on that car. He obviously felt that he needed to come in for a pit stop. I'm not quite sure what has happened there, but Pierre Gasly now in a clear P4, looking after his tyres very well. Bottas had a pit stop issue as well. That has took Valtteri Bottas well out of the fight, probably for Sunday as well. Lando Norris right on the back of his teammate Mick Schumacher, and possibly could get up into P5 here. It could be P4 and 5 for the Andrettis, as long as Pierre Gasly keeps that Mick Schumacher out of the DRS range. We have a crash on circuit. Big yellow flags. It's Giovinazzi and Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll, we've seen struggling with this car all afternoon. And wow, let's have a look at that. I mean, there's a lot of Aston Martin on the track there, on that Aramco car. And that is very disappointing for the Williams as well. I mean, look at this guy on the right-hand side. You cannot believe what's happened. He's got his head in his hands. Cheer up, boys. You've still got Sunday to bring it back. But the Williams and the Aston Martins coming together. Pierre Gasly has been pushing like a madman at the moment, trying to get out of the DRS range of Mick Schumacher, because that's going to help Lando Norris pass him, and he's actually starting to catch the Ferraris in front. It must be said, we are looking pretty decent on our tyres. It looks like we've got another yellow flag on circuit. And I reckon Pierre... Oh, my word. What is Lance Stroll doing today, ladies and gents? Lance Stroll in P15. This could be because he's got a little bit of damage. Let's have a look. Just carrying straight on. Lance Stroll is having an absolute mare at this moment in time. But Pierre Gasly is starting to reel in Charles Leclerc, and I wouldn't back against the Gasman catching Leclerc towards the end of this Grand Prix. 10 to go. And this will help us massively because George Russell, running in P2, just cruising behind his teammate Max Verstappen, has just gone and done this. He's ran on. And what that has meant is he didn't manage to rejoin safely. You saw Charles Leclerc go past him. Pierre Gasly went past him as well. He's just having a little bit of a push to see if he can catch Charles Leclerc at this moment in time. And to be fair, he's nearly done it. Lando Norris now up into P5 will be nearly at P4 very, very shortly. But Gasly has caught Charles Leclerc. What a bit of a driving that is from Pierre Gasly, catching the Ferrari. He's not quite in the DRS, although he is now. If he can tag onto the DRS, anything is possible for Pierre today. Norris will be past Schumacher very shortly. And you know when I said Norris would be passed very shortly? Lando Norris is up into P4. Lando Norris is up into P4. He's happy, I'm happy, and I know you are happy at home. Gasly's burnt his tyres up a bit, trying to catch Charles Leclerc, so he's going to have to calm down now on the tyres. But that's okay. We'll conserve with Pierre Gasly. We can do that. But Norris now up into P4. Gasly's got a rear gunner. Lap 16, everybody seems to have calmed down a little bit. It must be said, tomorrow is going to be the tyre wear Grand Prix because Pierre Gasly's down on 29% tyres. You can see we're using an option I very rarely use in terms of conserving because we need him to get to the end here. Lando Norris similar, just at the moment, just tagging on. But everybody's tyres are absolutely warped. If you were on mediums now, you would be catching at a rate of knots. But Pierre Gasly looks like he's going to get a podium today, and Lando Norris looks like he's got P4 in the bag, 3 to go. And you know when I said it was going to be the tyre wear Grand Prix, this is the final lap, and Mick Schumacher has a puncture, and he's tumbling down the order on the final lap. Verstappen's leading away by 4 seconds. I reckon we can get we certainly can get the Ferraris tomorrow, but we certainly might be able to catch Max Verstappen. But Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly both at this moment in time conserving the tyres. Gasly's tyres are cold. He's conserved them that much. But we are just trundling round the rest of this circuit, and we'll come back when we get towards the end of the lap. And towards the end of the lap we are, towards the end of the sprint we are, and Max Verstappen wins the Qatar Grand Prix sprint. Leclerc will come on P2, Gasly in P3, Norris in P4. That has given us a lot of food for thought for tomorrow. Those soft compound tyres can do about 13 laps, and that is it. So Gasly and Norris P3 and 4 tomorrow. It's an Andretti lockout on row 2. Let's get to the final classification. Right then, guys, P2 and P3. Charles Leclerc obviously had that grid penalty. So Pierre Gasly is alongside Max Verstappen, and as we saw on the sprint race, you can get the run in him into turn 1. So we are starting Pierre Gasly on the soft compounder tyre. We have took a lap of fuel out. We are going to be so aggressive at the start. Really try and get in front, dictate the pace of the Grand Prix, and then carry on from there. Similar story with Lando Norris, but P2, P3, let's get to 5 red lights.
Now, this could be an important race for Pierre Gasly.
It's a P2 start for them, an excellent opportunity, and no doubt they'll be looking to grab it with both hands.
This should certainly be a good one, folks. We're about to get going here in Qatar. It's lights out and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we have Max Verstappen pulling into the middle, blocking off both Andretti Cadillac cars. Very, very good indeed there from the Red Bull driver. He's on the soft compound as well, so the top 3 both on the soft compound. Then there are medium runners behind, so I'm hoping that our 2 guys are at the moment going to attack, hopefully not each other, but try and pull away from these medium runners. That would be absolutely ideal. Lando Norris looks like at the moment he is going to get in front of his teammate. Whoever gets in front, we will tell the other one not to attack because we want to attack Max Verstappen. And what a move that is. from Lando Norris up past Pierre Gasly. He's now going to be told not to fight his teammate and just stick with him, because the crucial thing here is to keep up with Max Verstappen and pull away from the medium runners. And on lap 1, Verstappen leads. We've got Perez towards the back. George Russell. Where is George Russell? George Russell down in P14 at this moment in time. But straight away we can see the Andretti boys keeping up with Verstappen and pulling away from Albon. We've had a lock up straight away, and it is Esteban Ocon locking up into turn 10. It must be said Max Verstappen does look in. Wow, that McLaren must have had his heart in his mouth when he saw that flying in his mirrors. But it must be said Max Verstappen does look a little bit in a league of his own today. He's 3 seconds ahead of Gasly straight away. Our guys have been told you are allowed to fight, but just do it reasonably. We are trying to save the tyres at this moment in time as well. Just making sure that we can make these tyres get to around lap 15. Then we will be on the mediums. We'll just try and cover Max off. I don't think we're in a fight with Max today. I think we're in a fight with these guys behind him. We've got to make it count at the right moment. So at the moment, Gasly and Norris, P2 and 3. Then he's Albon, Joe, Leclerc's in P6, Magnussen P7, Porsche in 8. We are looking after our tyres a lot better than Max Verstappen is doing. He joins us back on lap 10, and it must be said, our guys are doing a lovely job at the moment in time. Gasly and Norris just trading places with DRS, bringing us away from Albon and Leclerc. It's looking all rather good at this moment in time. We need to get to around lap 16. Is the ideal moment for us to pay onto the medium compounder tyre. We may even look to go to the hard, to be fair. But at this moment, Norris is just about tagging on to that DRS. In fact, he's lost DRS as Lando Norris there, so he's got to catch back up to his teammate. But yeah, pretty comfortable at this moment in time. Towards the back of the grid, Russell's only made it up to P12, Perez P13, Ricciardo's at the very, very back at the moment in the Hugo Boss in P20, and Ocon, of course, after that early lock-up, all the way at the back as well. So both Andretti's doing okay at the moment. It must be said on lap 15, Lando Norris's tyres were done. Now, we are hoping to come out. I would suggest in this gap here, there's a 7-second gap between Piastri and Tsunoda. That's where I'm hoping we are going to come out with Lando Norris. Gasly's been holding onto his tyres a lot better than Lando Norris, maybe because he's been in clean air a lot more. But Lando Norris in for the pits. Let's hope we get a decent pit stop. There was conversations whether to go onto the hard or the mediums. We elected for the mediums, and Lando Norris is coming back out. We can see Giovinazzi is pitting. A few of the medium compounders as well are not going to be too long. I am very intrigued to see how this medium tyre performs. Piastri is just belting down the start-finish straight, and Lando Norris is out with him. Oh, there's nearly a crash, and that is not ideal for Lando Norris. He's behind his old teammate Oscar Piastri on 47% mediums, but Lando Norris out. Gasly will be in shortly. And in shortly he is. Pierre Gasly, lap 16. He went a little bit wide there, to be fair, but he's in for his first pit stop. Pierre Gasly's driven a fantastic race so far today, and on lap 16 he comes in to the pits for, once again, a set of medium compounder tyres. We may end up going on the hards towards the end, especially with Lando Norris, who's working his magic, trying to get past Oscar Piastri at this moment in time. But in is Pierre Gasly. Let's have a look here. Magnussen is just pitting. Is it a decent stop? It's not the best. It's 3.3 seconds, and he's coming out. Where is Lando Norris? Lando Norris is past Oscar Piastri. That's absolutely crucial. And there he goes with the DRS as well. Pierre Gasly trundling down the pit lane. This is going to be close between the two Andretti Cadillac cars. Where is Lando Norris? He's still out behind his teammate, but he gets the job done. We are going to watch the replay as well of that at this moment in time, because into the final corner he got the tyres, Lando Norris, and he was past the McLaren and up into, is that P9 I think he's into now? Lando Norris, no, it's P10. Gasly's in P9 with signs in front of him. We need these medium runners to start boxing pretty quickly. Verstappen is into the pits, and he's on to a set of medium compounder tyres. Now, obviously, Gasly and Norris have got stuck a little bit behind Carlos Sainz, but he does get a good helping of DRS there, just Pierre Gasly, and he can see Max Verstappen in front of him. Pierre Gasly, we've gained a little bit, I would suggest, there on Max Verstappen, and our tyres are up to temperature. Max Verstappen's aren't, so Pierre Gasly is in a decent position here, still pushing hard, and now we're going to try and push on and catch up to Max Verstappen with Pierre Gasly. Lando Norris, he's just a little bit further back from Carlos Sainz. 1.9 seconds is the gap. Lando Norris has just got a nice bit of luck there because Russell and Sainz both pit the cars that were in front of him. Nicely in clean air now, Lando Norris. 3.8 seconds behind his teammate. Again, we are trying not to push on these tyres at the moment. I need to make sure that we can get to the end of the Grand Prix. We've also got fuel that we need to be aware of at the moment as well. I would say Verstappen's got this, but you never know with safety cars. But I want our tyres in the optimum window. Tyres are key. Must be said, Pierre Gasly is having to negotiate some traffic, and the same move that Lando Norris did into the final corner, down the inside of the Alfa Romeo house. Pierre Gasly up, back into P5. We've still got a couple of cars yet to pit in front of him. Let's just have a look as we go back to the live action. Bottas and Zhou yet to pit, and Albon. So he's still net P2, and it must be said Lando Norris is doing a great job as well. I'm a little bit concerned about Charles Leclerc catching Lando Norris at the moment. 3.3 seconds a gap, but we are managing the tyres effectively. What's Charles Leclerc on? 88%, so Leclerc's doing well at this moment in time. But lap 21, it's Albon in the lead, but he's yet to pit. The final one of the stragglers is coming in, and it's Valtteri Bottas on lap 24. So that's probably how long the tyres can go through. Bearing in mind we pitted on lap 16, we need to be looking at around lap 40 for our second pit stop. And at the moment, we're making everything pretty okay in terms of strategy. We are making this work with the tyre where it's a tidy stop from the Audi Sport team. Very decent from them indeed as Bottas comes back out onto circuit. Tsunoda's in the pits as well. Russell's managed to get his way up the grid a little bit in the Red Bull Ante. I think Russell might be a concern towards the end, but Pierre Gasly at the moment doing the business. Still in P2 and P3. It's a double podium for Andretti at this moment in time. Quite a disappointing moment here. Charles Leclerc has caught Lando Norris and he's passed Lando Norris. What a moment that is. Charles Leclerc rather simply passed Lando Norris. Very disappointing. And Lando Norris struggling to stay in the DRS. That Ferrari is quick on this middle stint. Something to be aware of as he's now going to start to try and close up to the back of Pierre Gasly. Lap 38, Lando Norris is in for his pit stop, and it must be said he has not had the pace of Charles Leclerc at all. Pierre Gasly will be in the next lap. We are pushing on the tyres and just trying to conserve a little bit of fuel with Pierre Gasly at the moment. He has been under pressure from Charles Leclerc, but Gasly is in this lap. Let's have a look if we get a decent pit stop here with Lando Norris, because he certainly needs one. It's a 2.9 second stop. It's very decent indeed for Lando Norris, who will now be on a set of mediums towards the end. Pierre Gasly, we will come back to when he's into the pits. But Lando Norris, where is he going to come out here? I'm hoping. Where is Zhou Guanyu coming around the final corner? Lovely gap for Lando Norris to start using these tyres. So Lando Norris out of the pits and can now push up to the back of Charles Leclerc. We are going to be giving it everything on this outlap for Lando. And here we go then, Verstappen stays out, Gasly will be coming in, and will Charles Leclerc follow him? He won't. Charles Leclerc is staying out, so we are going to get an undercut on Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris is bombing away at this moment in time around. He's in a lovely bit of clean air. Pierre Gasly, I would suggest, should come out in the same. Russell is in the pits as well. So both the Andretti and the Red Bull into the pits. Gasly needs a good stop here. We are in a big fight with Charles Leclerc for a podium today. It's 3.2 seconds. It's not ideal. Russell is into the pits. He's onto the hard compounder tyre is George Russell. We've gone on to another set of mediums. We reckon that is the quicker tyre. I would suggest that negates George Russell towards the end, but Pierre Gasly as well, out in a lovely bit of clean air there, Pierre Gasly. Lando Norris now only 2.3 seconds behind his teammate, pushing like absolute mad, and Pierre Gasly going to be told now to do the exact same thing. We've got to make hay while the sun shines, or the night shines here in Qatar. Max Verstappen is into the pits on lap 40, and he's going onto a set of soft compound tyres. He's got to do 17 laps on soft compound tyres. Very interesting strategy from the Red Bull guys, putting Russell on hards and then Verstappen on softs. Very interesting indeed. Pierre Gasly is now straight on the back of Alexander Albon. He's going to be looking to get past this Aston Martin as quickly as he possibly can here. Max Verstappen, he's already out. Bottas is well close to him. But Pierre Gasly, new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 125.5. I would suggest that is not going to be the case for that much longer, because Verstappen on softs is a pretty ominous sight. But what must be said is, towards the end, those softs might be dead. But Lando Norris, 4.7 seconds. He's managing the gap to George Russell now, is Lando Norris. We're just going to get those tyres back in the window, and Charles Leclerc is yet to pit. Charles Leclerc has pit. He is on soft compounded tyres, but Alexander Albon is causing all sorts of problems here. We cannot get past this Aston Martin. We finally have done. Gasly's got past him. He now hasn't got DRS, and this is absolutely crucial here because Leclerc has followed Lando Norris through, and suddenly the top, well, from second to fourth is separated by under 0.4 of a second. What on earth has Alexander Albon just done there? I cannot believe he slowed Gasly up that much. Gasly's lost around probably 4 or 5 seconds. It's crazy, crazy times what Alexander Albon's just done. Gasly couldn't get past him, and now Charles Leclerc is well in this fight for P2 today. Verstappen's cruising round. He must be loving life at the moment. But remember, Charles Leclerc's tyres are going to die off towards the end. We need to ensure, especially Lando Norris, that he is always defending from this Ferrari because those tyres will burn out. Lap 44, 13 to go. It's all happening at the front. Lap 46, we told Lando Norris to defend, but my word, I didn't mean for him to drop out of DRS for his teammate. But what Lando Norris is doing here is backing Charles Leclerc up into George Russell. We are burning up Charles Leclerc's tyres at a rate of knots, and he simply can't get past this Andretti Cadillac. We've also brought George Russell into play. This is going to go right down to the very end. Russell might be the man who is in the best position at the end of this Grand Prix, but at the moment, Lando Norris is holding up the Ferrari and holding up the Red Bull. It's absolutely crucial that he stays in front. What he has allowed it to happen is Pierre Gasly is now 4.7 seconds up the road. So big moments for him here. But Lando Norris has dropped back and just defending. 10 laps to go. Lando Norris has finally lost the position. We didn't get a replay, which was lovely. But Charles Leclerc managed to get past him. But he's now a 7-second gap to Pierre Gasly. And remember, we had the cost cap chat around the components and things. Well, Pierre Gasly's engines just started to show minor wear. It's only 49%. It shouldn't be that damaging. I can't see these guys catching Pierre Gasly towards the end. But at the moment, Lando Norris now is looking to see if he can get back in front of the Ferrari and try and burn his tyres up again. Charles Leclerc's soft compound tyres now on 60%. I'm hoping, really hoping, that Lando Norris can try and get past him. We're actually going to tell him to be high on the overtake aggression as well. And this is the first instance we are going to get to see of it because Charles Leclerc onto the start-finish straight. Lando Norris has DRS. Now, will Lando Norris pull to one side or the other? He's pulled to the right-hand side. And Lando Norris, once again, looks like he's going to overtake Charles Leclerc. Lovely move by Lando Norris. He's had to use his tyres a little bit, but he's back in front of the Ferrari. And what are we going to do again? We are going to now try and defend once again. Burn his tyres up some more. Charles Leclerc is not going to be a big fan of Lando Norris at this moment in time. Pierre Gasly is a huge fan because he's 7.5 seconds in front of him and comfortably at the moment in P2, despite his engine giving him a little bit of jip. We have got 8 laps to go. And a lap later, Lando Norris has just had a bad DRS zone because Leclerc and Russell have both managed to get past the English driver. And that means he's now down to P5, is Lando Norris. He's been fighting a battle all on his own today. But now he's got to re-overtake a Red Bull and a Ferrari. But do we believe he can do it? We absolutely do. Pierre Gasly is now 8.8 seconds up the road. It's looking good for Pierre, but Lando's got some work to do. Lap 53, Lando Norris is back up into P4, but it must be said, just probably a lap or two too late, because George Russell, as you can see, is a little bit further up the road now. We are going to try and catch up with him once again with Lando Norris. We fancy a double podium today, but Lando Norris, you can still see side by side there, did get the job done. He's nearly pulled out 6/10 now, but he's not going to catch 2.8 seconds. What we are a little concerned about is the fact that George Russell is lapping probably half a second quicker, but Gasly should be able to see this out towards the end. But Lando Norris, P4 looks the maximum now. Right, we're going to watch this spin on circuit. We are coming on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. Alexander Albon, that is a big spin, and at any other circuit that would probably mean a safety car if the barriers had been closer. We were just getting a little bit concerned that George Russell was attacking Pierre Gasly, but we've managed to sort that problem out now. The gap's back up to 4 seconds. Lando Norris had a big push to see if he could catch George Russell. We are now on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Verstappen's 23 seconds in front of Pierre Gasly. Verstappen in another couple of laps could have had a free pit stop and still finished in front. But at this moment, Pierre Gasly doing okay, just trundling round this final lap. George Russell, we are telling Lando Norris to give it absolutely everything to catch George Russell. Could he possibly? I mean, he's got half a lap to do it. But Lando Norris, 1.8 seconds is now the gap. Let's just ride on board with Lando Norris towards the end of this Grand Prix. We're going to cut back to Pierre Gasly. It's a 1.6 second gap now. I don't think he's quite going to have enough to catch him. Max Verstappen, as we just switch back, he's coming down the start-finish straight, and Max Verstappen will win the Qatar Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly is 23 seconds further back at this moment in time. We're just going to tell Lando to calm down now. He's not going to catch George Russell. But Pierre Gasly, what a day he's had. What a weekend he's had. That qualifying lap was pretty special. He did so well in the sprint. And Pierre Gasly is going to cross the line and come home in P2. Hopefully avoid hitting that Aston Martin that looks like it's had a puncture. And Lando Norris is following George Russell home. 1.5 seconds the gap in the end. P4 for Lando. Very decent job from George Russell. Let's get to the podium.
What a masterclass drive from Pierre Gasly today.
Definitely a well-deserved podium. You've got to say their race strategy was very good indeed.
That makes it all worth it, doesn't it? Seeing your team ready to share the celebrations. The Frenchman was in sublime form today, fully deserving of his podium finish here.
And that's a trio of podiums to their name this season. They're racking up the points too.
Must be said, it's nice to see another Andretti Cadillac on that podium, and Pierre Gasly once again doing the business. Fantastic work from him. You've got to say George Russell did very well as well. Well, I mean, there's a couple of opportunities for driver of the day. We'll have a look at that in a moment. But Max Verstappen winning from Gasly, Russell P3, Lando P4, Bottas fastest lap of the Grand Prix and a P5 finish again. Leclerc in P6, Mick Schumacher P7, then came Perez, Zhou and Stroll making up the points. We did have one DNF, I believe that was, and that was Alexander Albon, and a few cars towards the back. The Hugo Bosses not having a particularly good day. Driver of the day, you could give it George Russell. I think Mick Schumacher gaining 13 places after that puncture in the sprint is certainly up there. Checo Perez certainly as well in that Ferrari. Driver standings wise, Lando Norris gains on George Russell again and crucially extends his lead to Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen far and away at the front. Pierre Gasly on to 120 points. He's only 4 points behind Carlos Sainz in the Mercedes now. Constructor standings wise, we do extend our lead on Ferrari once again. We are now 76 points ahead of them. Red Bull, as we know, have already won it. Mercedes down in P4. And let's just have a quick look at the bottom. McLaren in P10. How disappointing is that for McLaren? I hope you've enjoyed that one. An action-packed weekend. It really did have everything. Please do like and subscribe. We're very much on the road to 500 subscribers now, and I shall see you on the next one. Ta-ra!